In previous videos, I presented undeniable evidence of life after death and explained where we go afterward. I also clarified what dreams truly are and revealed the tragic consequences faced by those who commit suicide, even after their passing. Additionally, I shared some of the many NDE stories I have collected over more than 20 years of researching the phenomenon of death and life beyond the physical body. If you haven't watched them yet, I encourage you to click on the name of my channel in the Videos tab, where you can find all the content I've created so far. In this episode, I will present another NDE story. It is the account of a woman who, during her clinical death, once again became her true self and realized that our earthly body and personality are merely forms of temporary disguise. Let's begin.
When I was 41 years old, I was dying of liver failure and a sudden gastric hemorrhage, requiring 12 units of blood stat. I remember being helped to my bed, feeling agonizing pain throughout my entire body and profound weakness. I had been in the hospital for 2 months, and by then, the medical profession considered me terminal. I was fully aware of my surroundings and the grave condition of my body, feeling depressed and worried. I had 4 children at home who needed me. Suddenly, I began to complain about a piercing bright light in my eyes. Nobody seemed to help me, and the light intensified. Next, I noticed that my pain was leaving me, and I pressed my fingers into the side of my leg. Medical equipment was all over my body, and I could see it clearly. Then I felt paralyzed and cool. Next, I could see everyone in the entire room, many doctors and others, and I felt sorry for them. I felt very intelligent and mobile. I could see my husband coming into the hospital entrance. I looked down at myself and saw that I looked very small and unrecognizable. I wondered if that was really me. Then I seemed to be traveling feet first at a very fast speed, and each time I raised my head, I could see no end to the hallway. Suddenly, I was surrounded by profound peace, warmth, and love. The situation was so magnetic, and the feeling of love was intense. I was not afraid. I felt at home and at peace. The intense presence of love surrounded me. I had some sense of direction, and it seemed I was understanding what to do next without being told. It seemed I had more work to do, which I was going to continue on in some way. I felt tired and had no intentions of leaving that place. Next, I felt my pain returning. It became intense again, and I thought, I'm back. My next thought was, I'm going to get better and these people don't know it. I tried to speak, but I was too ill. Later, I was in intensive care, and I was reluctant to think about this experience. After being discharged weeks later, I realized I couldn't talk about this to anyone without crying. I saw the doctor weekly and finally got the courage to tell him. He shook his head and said, "Well, we thought you were gone twice." For a long time, I felt so changed. I kept thinking, I'm not me anymore. I simply felt like a different person and couldn't explain it to anyone. It took me a year to recuperate. During my first week at home, I slept a lot. I woke lying flat on my back in bed. I was alone upstairs, and I generally wanted someone with me to help me out of my chair, etc. But I sat upright on the bed, looked over my left shoulder, supporting myself with my hands, and it appeared that my body was still lying on the bed. I had separated from it. Quickly, I lay back down and remained very still. I was afraid to try getting up and out of bed again. I kept this episode to myself too. This all happened 20 years ago, and to this day I still feel different. Nobody has the words to make another person genuinely understand what this does to someone's life, or the depth of our feelings. Sharing this with others is frustrating because you know they can't possibly understand, and some sanctity may be lost. I feel more tolerant toward everyone, I believe, but in some ways, it seems nobody will ever understand. I forgot to mention that during my NDE, I seemed to be a total person. I mean, I didn't feel like I was missing any part of myself, no body parts or anything like that. I was completely unaware of being anything other than my total self. Also, I think I protect my feelings a lot more now than I did before. I have an entirely new set of values in life. Thank you for listening. I am a registered nurse. Before my illness, I had completed a 3-year commercial art course, and at the time of my NDE, I was taking no medication. There was no preview of my life. In fact, when I first allowed myself to think privately about what I had experienced and believed that I had indeed left my body, I was struck by the fact that I felt completely guilt-free. Raised as a Catholic, I had grown up with the "you'll be judged" threat, daily reminders of mortal and venial sins, and the idea of a God who could be angry. I had figured this was a hopeless plight in life, but I felt no guilt. I had experienced an embrace of incredible love beyond belief. I saw no one but felt a massive presence of warmth and love, a strong sense of togetherness and joy. Also, my blood reports, liver blood tests, were completely normal the next day, and my renal output was normal. All my reports continued to be normal from that day on. I had experienced kidney shutdown before my collapse, with output being only 1 cc per day. During my hospital stay, my weight had dropped from 140 pounds to 89 pounds. After 1 year, I returned to work part-time, still thin and frail, with some pain. The doctor said I had narrowing of my bones, whatever that means. I'm not afraid to admit now that when I returned to work, it seemed like my patients always improved while I was there. Does this sound crazy? Honestly, I began to test it after noticing it happening. I would often be assigned to ICU, and even the worst patients seemed to have less pain or rested better. Some colleagues even commented on it, and I would jokingly say, "Oh, it's my magical touch." Thank you for letting me share this. I only add these comments to be honest and complete with the information I offer. I hope this can contribute to your study of NDEs.
And here is yet another NDE story that provides us with a wealth of knowledge about life beyond the material body. While in the immaterial world, our protagonist clearly felt her true essence, being a non-material being. At that moment, she distinctly understood that she was not truly the person she had embodied while living in a physical body on Earth. This is a profoundly important realization, as it helps us return to our true home after death. Moreover, if we grasp this understanding while still living in a physical body on Earth, it can allow us to distance ourselves from daily worries, enabling us to handle life's challenges more effectively. And it's worth noting that you don't need to experience clinical death to feel your true, non-material essence. In my publication, I present practices that can help you achieve this awareness while still within your material body. I also teach completely safe methods for temporarily leaving the body during so-called lucid dreams or out-of-body experiences. These practices allow you to experience what it's like to exist as a non-material being. You'll find a link to the book in the description below this video. That's all for today. Thank you for being here, and see you next time.